Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be starting in a few minutes. And welcome to the launch of the Sinking Cities Community of Practice. My name is Sanjeevani Singh, and I will guide you through the welcome and opening remarks for this session, and then the introduction to the COP. After that, I will hand over to Kurt Garrigan to moderate the rest of the session. To kick off, let's move to the next slide. I'd like to welcome Sang-Min Nam, who is the Director for Environment and Development Division of ESCAP, to provide the welcome.
In terms of advisory, because
sorry, and one.
Thank you.
I just want to, before you start, Sang-Min, I just want to,
if you recall,
raise some housekeeping rules. If you're not presenting, please put your mic on mute. We're hearing some background noise. Thank you. So if you're not speaking, then please keep your microphone muted. If you're presenting, we would appreciate it if you could put on your camera and mic. And if you have a question, then please use the raise the hand function to raise your hand, and we will get to you to address any questions that you have. Thank you so much. Over to you, Simon. Sang-Min, over to you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
On behalf of ESCAP Environmental Development Division, I would like to thank all the participants for joining this launch of the Sinking City community of practice. And also, I would like to express our gratitude to Mr. Wendong. I hope you are here. Assistant Permanent Representative of China to ESCAP for the support to establishing this community of practice through China ESCAP Cooperation Program project, which is titled Confronting the Silent Crisis of Asia Pacific's Sinking Cities. And also, I would like to recognize and appreciate our project partners, APDIN. It's an Asia Pacific Center for Development Disaster Information Management. It's one of ESCAP's regional institution. And also UN Habitat and partners from Bangladesh and Islamic Republic of Iran. Those joining this community of practice launching meeting, you have a good knowledge of land subsidence or sinking cities. We have seen headline news for major cities, like including Jakarta, Ho Chi Minh, or Manila, or Bangkok. Their situation facing land subsidence. But we also know that it is a still silent crisis. That is also the title of our project. For many cities across Asia, despite the critical impact on cities, it is yet not very visible, and also it's not well understood by urban planners and policymakers. So this is why we need to bring this community and strengthen our cooperation on shared risk framing, regional scale monitoring and early warning, and developing preventive measures through policy convergence and coordination. So as I mentioned, this is a component of our so-called CECP, China ESCAP Cooperation Partnership project. So as a part of this, we are pleased to launch this CAP. Of course, CAP is not climate change CAP, but community of practice, which will meet. We are expecting 4 times over over the year, for next 1 year. And so for us to really deliver technical and policy support to the project. So, and let me just briefly mention key components of this project, which will include data and analytics, including land use change and water consumption. And also we will deliver capacity building workshop for assessment and monitoring. And we will have a local development plans integrating policy solutions and monitoring system. Also knowledge material on policy and planning solutions, including nature-based solution. And also peer-to-peer exchanges, so including this meeting. So we will organize a peer-to-peer exchange. Also, this project will involve a study tour to spongy cities. But while I was highlighting that this CAP is part of our project, but we believe that this is not just for the project. We are really hoping that it can serve well beyond the project and become a regional technical asset. And before this launching this project and this community of practice, we together with the UN Habitat, we organized a few expert group meetings, and we have found quite a wide range of expertise available in Asia Pacific. So this will bring good knowledge and experience to facilitate developing solutions for cities. So particularly so through this project and beyond this project, we are expecting that this community of practice could help raising awareness on impacts and planning and integrated water resource management, and also facilitating access to knowledge and resources by leveraging expertise from countries and local authorities, academic communities, and research institutions. And we are also hoping through this community to provide a more structured platform for peer learning and knowledge exchange and regional collaboration. And so this will directly connect to, helping sharing best practice across the region. So in this regard, we are looking at learning experience from China's Sponge City initiative, which has demonstrated its concrete benefit for absorbing and storing and utilizing urban water resources by enhancing the role of soils, vegetation, and also urban wetlands. And so through this, perhaps this community could also identify offers for technical assistance and policy support. So we have a high expectation on this. Certainly, this is really at the early stage for creating community at the regional level. So we are really looking forward to having your proactive participation and contribution. Also learning from this community's activities. Thank you.
We will move on now next to video remarks from Letizia Rosana, who is the Director for Asian Pacific Center for the Development of Disaster Information Management. Can we play the video?
Dear colleagues and partners, today's gathering offers an important opportunity to focus on one of the region's often underestimated urban risks. As we launch the Sinking Cities community of practice, we're building on months of dialogue, collaboration, and shared concern over the accelerating impacts of land subsidence across Asia and the Pacific, a silent but serious threat unfolding beneath the rapid urbanization of cities across this region. The sinking of our cities is no longer a marginal or localized hazard. It has become a major urban risk affecting infrastructure, water security, housing, and sustainable development. Despite advances in research and science, gaps in policy, governance, and coordination persist, leaving communities and critical assets increasingly at risk. Recognizing this challenge, Aptim has worked closely with partners to strengthen the evidence base, promote knowledge exchange, and elevate land subsidence as a regional priority. Earlier this year, during the 81st Commission session of ESCAP, Aptim co-organized a dedicated side event on addressing ground sinking and land subsidence for resilient and sustainable cities, together with ESCAP's Environment and Development Division, Islamic Republic of Iran, China, and UN Habitat. That event brought together technical experts and policymakers to discuss and examine the drivers and socioeconomic impacts of land subsidence, highlight the need for robust legal and institutional frameworks, showcase innovative monitoring technologies, and underline the importance of sustainable groundwater management. Importantly, it laid the foundation for deeper regional collaboration and for the development of joint technical initiatives targeting high-risk urban areas. Building on that momentum, Aptim joined the ESCAP and UN Habitat Initiative confronting the silent crisis of Asia-Pacific sinking cities. Under this two-year effort, pilot activities are underway in Bangladesh and the Islamic Republic of Iran, our host country. Aptim is contributing to this regional initiative through its core mandate on disaster information management and risk analytics, and by facilitating the implementation of the pilot city-level project in close collaboration with UN Habitat Office in Iran. Through this project, our teams will help identify the drivers, trends, and impacts of land subsidence in cities and recommend actionable policy, planning, and technical solutions. This, among others, will contribute strengthening risk information, data governance, and management, improving of monitoring capacities and systems, and supporting cities in assessing land subsidence risks and developing mitigation strategies. The initiative also seeks to reinforce multi-stakeholder coordination and collaboration, promote knowledge and information exchange, and ensure that technical findings are effectively translated into actionable guidance for policymakers through sustained engagement at both expert and decision-making levels. Today, as the Thinking Cities community of practices is being launched, we see an important step forward in shaping a shared regional understanding and vision to address this regional challenge. Through broader engagement across a network of practitioners, policymakers, researchers, and urban stakeholders, the platform creates a shared space for learning, exchange, and collaboration on a challenge that no city can manage alone. Looking ahead, APDEM is firmly committed to driving this agenda forward, leveraging its technical expertise, its regional and local partnerships, and the close cooperation with its host government, the Islamic Republic of Iran. By aligning science, policy, and cooperation, we can help ensure that Asia-Pacific cities not only grow, but grow resiliently and sustainably. Thank you.
And to APDEM colleagues on the call for sharing those opening remarks and for the support in implementing the Thinking Cities project. Next, it is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Weng Dong, who is First Secretary and Assistant Permanent Representative of the People's Republic of China to ESCAP and the main donor of the Thinking Cities project. Thank you for joining us, and over to you, Mr. Dong.
Thank you, colleagues, for giving the floor. And first, I would like to say that Permanent Representative Mr. Ye Xuanong, he would like to join this event very much. But unfortunately, due to some emergency issues, he could not be able to be with us today. But he sent his own regards and congratulations to today's event and wish it a full success. So if you don't mind, I will continue to read the statement of the Chinese permanent mission to ESCAP. First, I would like to say that distinguished Director Sami Nam, distinguished Director Rosanna, and distinguished regional representative Shigaki, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure to attend today's launch of the Thinking Cities community of practice. Land subsidence is a chronic disease of cities. With the acceleration of urbanization, the issue of thinking cities has become increasingly pronounced. According to the latest World Urbanization Prospects 2025 report issued by UNDESA, the number of megacities whose urban areas was 10 million or more inhabitants has reached 33 now, and 19 of them are in Asia. Among the 10 largest megacities, 9 are Asian cities. How to properly handle the issue of thinking cities is crucial to people's vital interests and well-being in Asia and Pacific, as well as also closely related to the achievement of sustainable development goals, such as sustainable cities, water resources, and climate action. The issue of thinking cities has long been overlooked due to its covert nature at a certain degree. Last year, when the ESCAP Secretary proposed to China to carry out a project called Confronting the Silent Crisis, Asia-Pacific Thinking Cities, China responded positively and provided financial support through the China ESCAP Cooperation Program, CECP. CECP is one of China's tools to support ESCAP's efforts to accelerate implementation of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Over the past 10 years, China has contributed more than $1 million every year to the CECP and funded more than 50 projects in various areas, which provided important support to the work of ESCAP Secretariat. This project is one of them, and the only one carried out by ESCAP to tackle thinking cities programs. Since its inception in April 2025, the project has been making progress smoothly, with active support from relevant countries and partners, and China highly appreciates that. The Thinking Cities Community of Practice, COP, launched today is an important outcome of this project. The COP would serve as a collaborative platform, bringing together governments, research institutes, development partners, and city networks to strengthen data foundations, enhance institutional capacities, and support integrated approaches to monitor and managing land subsidence. China actively carries out groundwater management, promotes building of sponge cities, and the development of water-saving society, thus has reached successful practices in this area. The Chinese side would like to take advantage of the COP to share experience and collaborate with relevant parties to forge synergy. And China hopes that the COP keeps growing stronger and make positive contribution to the efforts of Asia-Pacific countries in addressing the issue of sinking cities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dong, for those remarks. And ESCAP greatly appreciates the financial and technical assistance that China is providing for taking forward this regional initiative on sinking cities. Thank you so much. Next, we move to opening and welcome remarks by Ms. Kazuko Ishigaki, who is the regional representative for the Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific for UN Habitat. Over to you, Kazuko.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, partners, and friends. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to join you today virtually for the launch of the Sinking Cities Community of Practice. Allow me to extend my sincere gratitude to UN ESCAP, Asia and the Pacific Center for the Development of Disaster Information Management, Chinese government, and all partners, city representatives, researchers are joining online. I'm very glad to see this partnership with UN ESCAP being crystallized from a coffee table meeting between Sri and Kat back in 2024, from ideas to actions. So congratulations to all. Land subsidence is a silent but accelerating crisis across the Asia Pacific. Just this September, the sinkhole that opened on Samsen Road in front of Bajira Hospital in Bangkok reminded us how real and visible the impacts of unmanaged subsidence can be. Furthermore, according to the World Bank, 40% of Bangkok could be flooded by 2030 caused by land subsidence. The recent floods and massive landslides triggered by cyclones affected millions of people in Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, and Thailand. And it reminded us that Asia and the Pacific is one of the most disaster-prone regions in the world. And these events highlight the need of a strong early warning mechanism and recovery. Yet, land subsidence remains less understood and less visible. Many are unaware of how everyday actions can contribute to this gradual and long-term impact and crisis. Today, an estimated 1.8 to 2 billion people worldwide are vulnerable to subsidence-related risks. Among them, 75%, almost 1.4 billion, live in South and East Asia, according to the World Bank. Studies indicate that 77% of all land subsidence cases globally are caused by human activities, and 60% of that is due to groundwater extraction, whether by households, industries, or growing urban systems. To address these pressing yet overlooked challenges, UN ESCAP and UN Habitat, together with partners, have worked closely over the past 2 years to bring land subsidence into the global and regional discourse. We have jointly convened expert group meetings, organized dedicated sessions at the 12th World Urban Forum, and the 81st session of the UN ESCAP Commission session. Today's launch indirectly responds to the region's call for sustained and coordinated platform. The Thinking Cities community of practice will help strengthen data, governance, and evidence-based action. Looking ahead, UN Habitat remains committed to supporting cities through integrated approaches and global platforms, including the 13th World Urban Forum next May in Baku. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kazuko Ishigaki, for your remarks. And we really appreciate the continued support from UN Habitat in the joint implementation of this project and the regional actions around supporting sinking cities. Thank you. So next, we will transition into the next section. Oh, okay. Apologies. We will now be taking a group photo. So we kindly request everyone to please turn on their cameras so that we can see everyone. If you can turn on your cameras. Just a few more. If everyone can turn on their cameras, that'd be great. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The last one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. We will now transition into the next section, and I will provide you with a brief introduction to the community of practice. Thank you. So in terms of the community of practice, the purpose of today's session is really firstly to officially launch the Sinking Cities Community of Practice, which is initiated as part of the Sinking Cities project funded through the China ESCAP Corporation program. Secondly, we want to utilize this opportunity to outline the COP's objectives, outcomes, and structure, as well as the planned activities for 2025 through 2026. Thirdly, this particular session of the COP will focus on creating a shared understanding of land subsidence risks and impacts across Asia and the Pacific, as well as the data requirements to support monitoring and decision-making by national and local governments. And fourthly, we want to utilize this regional platform to engage member states and multi-sector stakeholders to raise awareness, exchange knowledge, and to identify partner contributions to support this regional initiative on land subsidence. Next slide, please. If we look at our region, land subsidence is one of the most serious but least recognized urban risks in Asia and the Pacific. And this community of practice aims to bring relevant stakeholders together, like I said, to raise awareness, exchange knowledge, and identify solutions. If we look at the definition and key drivers of land subsidence, we see that land subsidence is referred to as the gradual or the rapid sinking of ground due to natural or anthropogenic causes. And the notable key drivers are excessive groundwater extraction, which in most cases accounts for 55%. Also, urban development pressures, especially unplanned and rapid urbanization, which leads to heavy, in some cases, heavy infrastructure that causes soil compaction and also leads to the increased demand for water. And then we also see in some cases that climate-driven droughts are also a key driver. And the impact of this is that it reduces the groundwater recharge and worsens aquifer stress. And I think this is pretty relevant in one of our pilot countries in Iran. And I think the key thing to highlight is often land subsidence is referred to as the silent crisis, given that the impacts usually remain invisible until damage is severe. And it's really recognized as a slow onset hazard, contributing to major urban and environmental risks. To provide you with some context in terms of the scale of the problem across the region, we see that out of 143 major coastal cities globally affected by land subsidence, 44% or 63 cities are located in Asia and Pacific. And additionally, the region accounts for more than half or 26 of the world's top 50 fastest sinking cities. And in our region, affected countries include China, Indonesia, Iran, Bangladesh, Republic of Korea, India, Philippines, among others. If we look at the impacts, we see that the impacts of land subsidence affect both the sustainability and the resilience of urban development. And impacts cut across many areas, including physical impacts resulting in cracked roads, sinkholes, damaged pipelines, and tilted and cracked buildings. We also see impacts on economic impacts, including high maintenance costs due to the damages caused, reduced property values, and also business and residential disruptions. We also see environmental impacts, including coastal flooding, saline intrusion, and ecosystem degradation. And then there are also social impacts and informal settlements and informal and low-income settlements are usually disproportionately exposed to land subsidence risks as well. From a technical perspective, what we're seeing across the region is that there is a lack of real-time monitoring systems and geospatial data systems in many cities. And also we see that there is the insufficient use of advanced technologies, especially in secondary cities and areas outside major cities. In terms of governance, what we're seeing is that there is fragmentation or fragmented governance among urban planning, water and environmental agencies, and as well as the weak enforcement of zoning regulations and groundwater extraction laws. Next slide, please. And then very quickly, just looking more closely at the scale of the problem across the region, we see that groundwater extraction is the main cause and is the cause in 44% of the cases, of which 48% are due to industrial water use and 40% are due to agricultural use. In the context of distribution across the region, many coastal cities are impacted by land subsidence, with the majority being in Northeast Asia, followed by Southeast Asia and South and Southwest Asia. And we also see that in Iran, with the Raf Sajan plain region, it having the highest land subsidence rate of 300 meters per year, which is pretty significant. And I think the last thing to note is that it's important to note that the IPCC states that land subsidence is one of the most significant coastal hazards in all settings. Next slide. So as we have mentioned, this community of practice is a key component of the Sinking Cities pilot project. And the key objectives of the project are to raise awareness of the causes and consequences of land subsidence among national and policymakers, national and local policymakers, as well as practitioners and communities. The project duration is running from May 2025 to December 2026. As we mentioned, it's funded through the China ESCAP Cooperation Program, and it's implemented by ESCAP and UN Habitat, and for ESCAP that includes the Environment and Development Division as well as ACTIN. And then the pilot cities where we will be implementing and testing some solutions and undertaking some assessments will be in Bangladesh and Iran. Overall, in terms of the project, we also aim to enhance the capacity, knowledge, and tools to monitor and mitigate urban land subsidence with a focus on strengthening data-driven planning. We also aim to develop a standardized assessment and monitoring framework that integrates a policy and regulatory review with a geospatial analysis for regional application. It includes the establishment of this community of practice and also will include the production of regional guidance, which will draw on the discussions of this community of practice as well as the pilot results in the two countries, Bangladesh and Iran. Next slide, please. So the one before this. Okay. Just move on, okay. Very quickly, this is just the methodology for the project. Okay. We'll just move on in the interest of time. In terms of the key objectives and expected outcomes for the COP, we really aim to utilize the community of practice as a platform to support regional collaboration by bringing together governments, academia, development agencies, and NGOs to jointly address land subsidence, which is one of the region's fastest growing urban risks. In terms of the objectives, a core feature is peer learning and really to bring together member states and cities and experts to share practical experiences and solutions that can be applied across the region. The COP will also coordinate regional awareness and advocacy to ensure that land subsidence is not only a scientific issue, because until now that has been the focus. It's been more a scientific and academically researched issue, but we really want to shift to ensure that it's a policy and planning priority as well. We also want to utilize the COP to collaborate with our partners on resource mobilization, as well as cross-agency support and identify new funding pathways. And I think, as Sungmin mentioned as well, the intention is to ensure that the COP is designed as a long-term regional platform that extends beyond the life of the project. And in terms of outcomes, the COP will directly support the implementation of the Sinking Cities project, as well as strengthen regional collaboration, and hopefully we'll be able to transform the learnings that we receive into practical and actionable case studies, tools, and policy recommendations for regional application and scaling. Next slide. So in terms of how the community of practice will operate, we have 4 planned sessions for 2025 to 2026. The first one will be on data foundations for assessing and monitoring land subsidence from an urban planning perspective, and that is the one we are having today. This is mainly an online COP. The next COP is planned for February, and that'll be ready to leverage city experiences on managing land subsidence in practice. And we hope to have this COP, or planning to have the COP at the Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development that takes place in April. So that will be a hybrid event. The third COP will be on policy pathways, and we'll be looking at really embedding subsidence into urban planning and governance frameworks. And we plan to have at the World Urban Forum in Baku in May. And then the last COP that we have planned so far will take place in July at our Committee on Environment and Development. And this will really focus on looking ahead and really leveraging the lessons we've learned through this process, the partnerships, and identifying regional action to move forward. In terms of membership, this COP is by invitation only, and we want to ensure that we are inviting a number of multi-stakeholder organizations, including governments, development partners, academia, and civil society organizations, as well as city networks. In terms of the Secretariat, the COP is managed by ESCAP and UN Habitat. Next slide, please. Okay, and then this is the last slide, and this just depicts the 4 community of practices, and as I've highlighted, we've really linked them to high-level regional and global events to ensure that we are maximizing the reach and engagement of key stakeholders. Thank you so much. That brings me to the end of my presentation. And in the interest of time, I think we will move to the next section, and I will hand over to Kurt Garrigan to take us through the rest of the session. Over to you, Kurt.
Thank you very much, Sanjeev. In this next session, colleagues will have some introductory presentations to provide the context for the community of practice and for further collaborations through the expertise that is gathered here today, and we hope to expand in future meetings as well. So we will hear about global trends, about regional impacts, and emerging methodologies and approaches to address land subsidence. We'll start with Professor Pietro Teatini, the chair of UNESCO's Land Subsidence International Initiative. Pietro, over to you, and I would ask each of the speakers to just be very brief and concise so that we can open the floor to everyone who's joining this session for the first time. Pietro, you have the floor.
Okay. So good morning or good afternoon to everyone. Yeah, I'm Pietro Teatini, and I'm chairing the Land Subsidence International Initiative of UNESCO. UNESCO has a group working on land subsidence since the 70s, so for more than 50 years, as this has been recognized since, I would say, several decades ago as a huge problem affecting community. So next slide, please. Yeah, so what is subsidence? So we know that subsidence is a loss of elevation, okay? But this loss of elevation is caused by huge number of different processes that can occur on the land surface, that can occur at a small depth, intermediate depth, or even very, very large depth. And therefore, what it is very important if we want to, let's say, to try to reduce or mitigate this process, is really, first of all, to understand where is the main causes, the main source of loss of elevation. This loss of elevation, independently on the causes, that is, or the drivers of this, we know, we are already here, this can cause several different kind of concern in relation to loss, let's say, of lands. If we are in low-lying delta region, it can cause huge problem of floods and flooding and permanent damages to people and heritage losses. If we are in coastal megacities, it can cause a lot of structure and infrastructure failure if we are in if the area is characterized by some specific geological setting, and it can also be associated to soil weakening. And if we are in a tectonic region, so land subsidence can also contribute to have a much large failure in terms of building. So it's a very big problem. Next, please. So what is the global trend? We already know that, as the previous speaker has shown, land subsidence is really a huge problem affecting Asia especially Asia during this last, I would say, couple of decades. And we worked and published a few years ago in Science a paper where we try to investigate at the global scale what are the susceptibility of our Earth to land subsidence. And we found that there are 4 or 5 main key factors or features of land that can make a region more susceptible to land subsidence. This for sure is the lithology of the subsurface. If we are compressible soil, those soil can cause, if let's say stress can cause much more subsidence than stiffer soil. It's related then to what we do on our land surface. So if the population density is really a key aspect, and also the use of land, such as the need, for example, for irrigation, is also very, very important. And then, of course, in terms of consequences, what it is very important is the land elevation. And if we compare this map on the left, where we can see that the red color represents the areas more susceptible to land subsidence, to the map to the right, on the top we have the world density population maps. On the bottom, we have where the deltas are located in the far Asia, and we can see that the red or orange zone on the left map correspond exactly where we have the highest population density and where we have a deltas region, because deltas are mainly characterized by very compressible soil. And therefore, if we start doing some anthropogenic activity there, the consequence of land subsidence can be very, very, very serious. Next, please. So which are the methodologies that nowadays we can use as based on the experience of this working group that it is working on the topic since long times ago? For sure, nowadays, the most effective methodology to measure the movement of what we have on the land surface is SAR interferometry. So using satellites, we can have a very detailed map of the movement of the land surface. But this is not enough. It's not enough because we have really to recognize what is moving. And it's very different if what we measure is the land surface or if these buildings that are characterized by shallow foundation or deep foundation. Therefore, INSAR application must always be accompanied by other techniques that give us the possibility to understand at which depth the compaction of the soil is occurring. And this technology or other technology for sure are GNSS permanent stations that are fundamental to link, let's say, land displacement obtained by INSAR to absolute displacement or to sea level displacement. This is fundamental. We also need some field in situ monitoring stations that we call it extensometers. So some extensometric stations that can be very deep or can be also very shallow, but they give us the possibility really to understand at which depth or which depth range are compacting, and therefore we can intervene directly on the proper depth. Of course, it is very fundamental to know what is ongoing in terms of pressure in our aquifer system. So establishing a proper monitoring network for the pressure evolution is also very important. Another aspect is associated to characterizing the soil, the aquifer system in terms of compressibility. So where and which depth the soil is more compressible and therefore more prone to cause dense subsidence. And of course, we must know which is the structure of our subsurface. So the characterization of aquifer system through borehole stratigraphy or other geophysical acquisition is also of paramount importance. Next, please. When we have all these data sets, then we have to make proper interpretation of this data. And this is the other, I would say, side of the medal. Data interpretation to understand driver nowadays can be done through physics-based modeling, through data-driven modeling, and to uncertainty quantification. So these technologies that let's say, are, I would say, typical of our scientific expertise, is something that it is fundamental to make interpretation and therefore to make prediction. So where and in which will be the effect of our mitigation strategies. This can be done only through this, the development of this tool. Next one, please. They asked me for a few examples where successful governance in monitoring and integrated management is ongoing nowadays in order to contrast land subsidence. I bring here three examples. Shanghai, where we can say that this governance has been already well established and has already produced impressive good results. Bangkok, where the let's say governance has been already put in place. It is working well. Of course, there is still work to do, but the effect is very evident in terms of land subsidence mitigation. And also Jakarta is the last third aspect where methodologies start to be put in place over the last few years. So it's start to produce something. And if you go there and you can observe measurement, we can really recognize that over the last few years, the subsidence rate in Jakarta has reduced significantly with respect to what happened 10 years ago. So which are the techniques that has been implemented in these three cities? Shanghai, in Shanghai, what has been done is mainly all the ground or the majority of the groundwater wells has been converted from pumping well into injection wells. So nowadays, a lot of significant managed aquifer recharge at large depth is put in place. And nowadays, the majority of the water is supplied to the population through shallow water. So a number of reservoirs has been built up along the Yangtze River, and that water is used to supply water to the population. In Bangkok, in 1977, the Groundwater Management Act was put in place, and with a number of actions, this, for example, restrict on well drilling and need permits for the new one, and taxation of groundwater taken from the subsurface. This has significantly produced a mitigation, a reduction of the subsidence rate. In Jakarta, what has been done mainly, it has been developed by a number of scientists together with stakeholders there. They have creating a roadmap that started in 2019, 2020, in order to have a huge reduction of the subsidence rate. And a main effort has been done in developing water supply system, touching or providing water to the part of the city that has characterized by the largest subsidence rate. Next, please. So how this UNESCO working group can, let's say, cooperate with Thinking City Scope? We say that we can cooperate in several aspects. For sure, sharing knowledge. We have a website where a lot of material is there. We organize international symposium on land subsidence, and the next one will be carried out in next April 2026 in Taipei, where all the community, the scientific community and the technical community worldwide meet every 4 or 5 years to share experience and knowledge update. We organize also workshop and participate to local workshop with a stakeholder to help, let's say, local stakeholder to understand better and to try to develop more proper regulation. This has been done, for example, in Jakarta since 2060s. We have done very recently in Lagos, in Nigeria, and we will have another meeting similar to this in Manila next year. Of course, we are open to scientific advising and collaboration for research project planning and establishment of monitoring network. And also, let's say, another important part is providing support from developing customized guidelines. Guidelines can be different, or I would say has to be different from city to city in relation to what is the main cause of subsidence there, which are the main problem that exist in a city. So we cannot always, let's say, each cities or each country has its own peculiarity, and therefore the guideline must be targeted on that.
Pietro, can I
And
ask you to
finally,
finish
yeah,
up?
I'm closing. Yeah, I'm
Please.
closing. The last one is, of course, we can also able to provide courses. So in relation to land subsidence mechanism, modeling, and insert analysis. Next, and thank you. I'm finished.
Thank you very much, Pietro, for sharing the work that UNESCO is doing. I think it really leads into the next presentation, which is how do we localize many of these approaches? How do we build local capacities? How do we establish effective governance, which you've highlighted as essential? So we'll go right to the next presentation. Dr. Yupeng Liu, Associate Professor at the Institute of Urban Environment, Chinese Academy of Sciences, who will talk a little bit about methodology and assessment frameworks. And Yupeng, over to you. And may I ask you to keep your presentation as brief as possible so that we can open the floor shortly. Over to you.
Yes, so maybe the slides will move to.
Oh, wait. Yeah, let's go to Yupeng first. It's okay.
So I will share the slides, right? Or you will help. Yeah. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm Yupeng, the consultant of the UN ESCAP for the land sinking project. And next slide, please. Yes, so my duty as the consultant is to design a flexible diagnostic assessment and monitoring framework that utilize like geospatial data, remote sensing tools, and urban environmental indicators to identify and forecast land sinking risks and impacts. And actually, we are so happy to inform that actually we have the prototype of this framework and we call that the DEAR model, which could be used to explore at least 4 key aspects of the land sinking problems. So the next slides. The first aspect is the driver. To better understand the root causes of land sinking includes like land use cover changes, groundwater extraction by agriculture, domestic, industrial, and commercial, and of course urbanization and urban development and other reasons like underground mining. And the second aspect is exposure to present, for example, the level of the land sinking and its exposure to human and urban rural system, which is related to vertical land motion, groundwater table decrease, and human exposure. And third aspect is assessment to evaluate the effects of land sinking on ecosystem and social economic systems. Adapt this framework could help mayors to understand how land sinking affect our cities, infrastructure safety, economic loss, social inequity, or even ecological and environmental vulnerability. And so the last one is response, which helps to design actions taken by society to mitigate land sinking or adapt to those impacts and risk reduction. So the next slide, please. Actually, to accomplish this DEAR framework, the remote sensing technology and open source data play key roles. For example, remote sensing technology enables systematic real-time or near real-time observation of vast and often inaccessible areas, providing consistent spatial and temporal data essential for tracking land sinking information. And of course, the satellite images also facilitate accurate, for example, classification and monitoring the land use cover changes, which is key for assessing urban expansion, agriculture development, underground water extraction, and ecological degradation. So, for example, previous studies has provided, for example, global level land sinking speed data between the 2014 and 2020 by using the SAR data. And meanwhile, actually, the new emerging technology like AI technology or a deep learning method also shows great potential to predict land sinking levels and speed for the future. Next slide, please. So based on this, I think based on this historical remote sensing data and future prediction on land sinking, so which enable us to understand human exposures to land sinking disaster and to assess like infrastructure safety problem and related economic loss by combining the human exposure and economic loss data to explore social equity or inequity problems. Actually, both the VLM data also could help to work together with planning indicators such like land use zoning, groundwater withdrawals, infrastructure, or social vulnerability. So next slide, please. Actually, for example, based on the collaboration, for example, based on between ESCAP and CAS, which could build a regional baseline or harmonize the monitoring standard that cities can adopt, for example, develop practical guidance materials and user toolkits that the governments can apply independently across different contexts, across from, for example, from urban area to pre-urban area, even to rural areas. So next slide, please. So I think both these two institutes' collaboration can also help building capacity through target training and stakeholder engagement, enable to apply this framework, interpret the results from this framework assessment, and trying to translate findings into planning and policy decisions. For example, mitigating the negative effects of land sinking by land use zoning, building regulation, or nature-based solution and city-level water resource management. Or we could adapt to land sinking and enhance infrastructure resilience, improve community preparedness, and design fiscal mechanisms, including the grants, the funding programs against land sinking. Meanwhile, I believe it's important to call for transdisciplinary engagement through stakeholder interviews, surveys, education, and of course the workshop or seminars for enhancing the capacity to against land sinking. I think that's my talk today. Thank you.
Fine. We're going to go now very quickly to Mr. Mohammed Abdul Awal, Deputy Secretary for the Ministry of Housing and Public Works in the Government of Bangladesh, to see how they're dealing with and addressing land subsidence and maybe get some reflections from him on what he's heard so far in terms of how some of these approaches and tools and methodologies might also be applicable to Cox's Bazar. Mr. Awul, over to you. And if I could ask you to keep your presentation very short, because we're running a bit out of time and we still need to hear from stakeholders in the meeting. Please, over to you.
Thank you, Excellencies, distinguished participants, dear colleagues. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. It's a pleasure for us to join this discussion meeting on building data foundation for resilient cities, with a focus on monitoring and managing land subsidence in Asia and Pacific. I commend ESCAP for creating a platform called Community of Practice, where we share our views and find out the best solution required. Across our region, evidence from INSAR, GNS, and the tide causes of and grace show that land subsidence is accelerating sea level rise, often faster than climate-driven changes alone. In Bangladesh, particularly along the Cox's Bazar Chattogram corridor, we see sign of localized vertical land motion linked to groundwater extraction, rapid coastal development, and sediment instability. Yet we're facing lots of problems. The background we chose the Cox's Bazar. I think that the the Cox's Bazar Development Authority officials are present here. So due to time constraint, I request the Deputy Town Planner of Cox's Bazar Development Authority to present the background and what we're thinking regarding this actually project. I request Mr. Tanvir to present the meeting. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's Lieutenant Colonel Naim, Member Engineer, Cox's Bazar Development Authority. we're really feeling proud that our mother ministry, they have incorporated us to attend the platform where we are getting a higher level of assistance with the Sinking Cities Community of Practices. Yes, definitely the Cox's Bazar Development Authority, we are working for the urban development progress of Cox's Bazar, which is a very renowned, definitely it's worldwide, it is recognized, the world's longest sea beach. Though we have the longest sea beach here, we have to get an effective result out of the urban development progress. That's why the development authority, we are fighting with our strength. We have engineers, we have urban developer, and we have the local stakeholders incorporating all. We are in the progress of getting a sustainable, eco-friendly, tourism-based urban development. Right at this moment, what we are now, at the very ground story, if I explain that what is the ground reality? The ground reality is that the last 50 years, can we change the slide, please? The city population, we see that almost 2 million. So there are lots of difficulties in the progress of urban development till today. If we consider the sinking city community, with the in few places, the unplanned development is giving us the scope of thinking the sinking city concept. Definitely, we must have a greater future to address this issue for the host community, and also the longest beach it's the asset of the Bangladesh, and definitely is the asset of the world that it's the longest beach. So the tourism progress, which also includes the host community, must be sustainable in terms of socio-economic progress, and which is addressing also the environment. Can you change this slide, please? Who has this slide control? Why Cox's Bazar needs a sinking city community of practices? As you see in this slide, we have the coastal area, cyclone storm, salinity, intrusion, land subsidence, then increasing human pressure. Definitely the human, the population is increasing day by day, and it has a pressure on the urban development. Slide, please. Change, please. The socio-economic setup is changing rapidly. The outcome result. Overlapping pressure, a community of practice focusing on sinking cities. Next, please. Next slide. Next, please. As you see in the pictures, it is away from the urban areas, but definitely if we think about the sinking city, around the urban areas, the rural areas are going to be affected. So we need to focus on the host community who all are around the city with the urban development. Next, please. Key challenges like other coastal areas. Please, next. Next, please. Governance and data gaps. As you see, we have noted that weak institutional capacity at local level. We don't say it in a weak way, but definitely we have some progress up to this time. But we are mentioning the weaknesses we need to cover for the future progress. Limited public participation and inequitable decision making. These are all of the shortcomings away from the progress till today. Low revenue, we need to focus that for the structural development or the urban development, where from we can generate the revenue and manage the revenue for the development progress in a sustainable way. Next. Fragmented, incomplete, or outdated data or monitoring. These are the very silly gaps we need to fill up. Definitely we have progress. Lack of integrated planning and risk sensitivity land use policies. Next. Priority areas, integrated coastal resilience planning, the heads you are observing, all we need to cover to assist you, to assist us, basically. Next. These are the priority areas. As you see in this slide, definitely we'll go for further elaboration, understanding. Up to this time, we have thought all of these when we have come to know that we are going to have the participation of this community of practices. Next. Next, please. Policy and institutional reform and regional, national level, different ways and means to be adopted in our level. Next. Next, please.
If I could ask you to come to a conclusion so that we can move on, and I know some of what you have here will be part of the general discussion near the end as well.
Okay. In this slide, few things to be noted. Launch a pilot community of practices anchored in a vulnerable coastal city, conduct a comprehensive coastal city vulnerability and risk assessment, develop a climate resilient coastal urban plan for the pilot city, strengthen institutional capacity and governance, set up a monitoring and learning framework within the community of practices. These are the steps we need to adopt in future. At last, we can say that Bangladesh coastal cities, especially like Coastal Bazar, are the front line of the climate change, definitely. As sea level rise, storm intensifying, and human pressure grows, the vulnerabilities of coastal communities drastically. So a sinking city community of practice rooted in local context, but connected across the regions and stakeholders could play a critical role in building resilience, promoting equitable governance, and safeguarding livelihoods and habitats. With integrated planning, inclusive governance, data-driven risk assessment, the data must be achieved with the local experience and the history of the local progress. And the community-led action, we can work toward sustainable, resilient coastal urban futures. Next, please.
Maybe come back to you in the general discussion. Is that okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'd like to now move to our colleague, Ms. Jing Yu, who's Senior Human Settlements Officer at UN Habitat's Bangkok Program Office, to offer some reflections and also maybe some guidance on the types of data that cities and national governments can use to monitor or assess across different sectors. And Jing, again, also, if I could ask you to be as brief as possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yes, very well.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, colleagues. I'm Jing Yu from UN Habitat Bangkok office. I'd like to share UN Habitat insight and experience on how multi-sources data could support sinking city monitoring and, more important, translate data into action. Across the Asia Pacific, many cities are gradually sinking, which is driven by rapid urban development, excessive groundwater extraction, and the increasing weight of the urban infrastructure. Obviously, subsidence will further lead the structure strengthen on infrastructure and increase exposure and risk of disaster. Next, please. As you see the picture on the left, the city like Bangkok are just experiencing this kind of risk today. One of the most dangerous part of the subsidence is that subsidence is slow, silent, and usually invisible. making it impossible to observe on the ground. This is why data become essential. High quality, multi-sector data allow us to detect and assess the subsidence risk before disaster strike, especially through subsidence detection, risk, urban benefit assessment. To achieve this, UN Habitat create a comprehensive system data from different sectors. First, for subsidence detection, geological data from satellite image play a crucial role to detect ground deformation in general. Second, to further assess the risk of subsidence, integrate geological and infrastructure data, which are typically from local governments. Finally, social economic data from the open sources database allow to evaluate social economic impact of the potential subsidence. Next, please. For subsidence detection, ESCAP technology, a kind of radar data, can detect millimeters level ground information over time. To utilize this technology to detect subsidence, the detection process needs to work at different levels. First, at a national or urban scales, identified broad subsidence tool. For example, we applied this to monitor land subsidence in places like Dhaka, Bangladesh, where urban areas show clear deformation hotspot. Next, please. Once the zone is identified, we zone in the building scales to point out high-risk building and conduct time-series analysis to track building deformation over time. This kind of approach allows us to prioritize the specific intensive area. Next, please. We also apply this approach to crucial infrastructure. Look for metro line, road, and underground system. For instance, this year, September, the crop along the Metro Purple Line in Bangkok, UN Habitat quickly respond, got data to analyze the subsidence along the metro line to understand the road cost and the monitoring deformation through a long period, warming the risk area and building in advance for the future use, and divided the report to Thailand partners. Next, please. And with the data is important, data quality and integration remain challenges. We use GIS, Geography Information System, and BIM, Building Information Modeling, and IoT, Internet of Things, to build SIM, City Information Modeling, as a tool to address this. City integrate need a comprehensive data platform that integrate multi-sources data. Next, please. Detection alone is not enough. To move from detection to prevention, cities need to predict where subsidence risks are high before it happens. To achieve this evaluation model combines geological data, infrastructure data, and the social economic data to assess both possibility and the consequence of the subsidence, such as the road crop risk assessment system in Guangzhou, China. This system allows a comprehensive risk control process, identified high-risk spot, discovering infrastructure defect, implementing engineering treatment, and establishing continuous monitoring protocol, which successfully address mutual risk case in different catalog. Next, please. With an investment of $4 million, this system integrates infrastructure, data platform, and assessment model. The system enables real-time subsidence detection and infrastructure risk analysis, producing a growing database to 290 million records of multi-sector data spanning housing, transport, and underwater sources, and output assessment weekly. In conclusion, UN Habitat goal is from data to action. The challenge of thinking city is urgent, but with multi-sources data, advanced monitoring technology, and integrated assessment system, we can detect substance earlier, assess the risk accurately, and take preventive action. Next. Thank you. Back to you, Kurt.
Thank you very much, Jing, and also for highlighting and emphasizing the importance of data analysis, especially as it relates to risk assessment. Some very interesting innovations that UN Habitat has been deploying as well. We're going to now move to Mr. Stefan Rao, Principal Urban Development Specialist with the Asian Development Bank, who's going to focus a little bit on response and solutions and knowledge sharing. Stefan, I know you have several case studies in your slides. Given the limited time, if I could ask you to focus on one of those and highlight essentially what ADB can offer here in the community of practice. Over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Kurt. And first of all, I apologize for my voice. I lost my voice a little bit. I hope I can be heard. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay?
we can.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
We hear
thank
you.
Yeah, thank you, Kurt, and colleagues from UN Habitat and UN ESCAP for this initiative. Most welcome. I think before I start, really, I want to reflect that it is interesting that at least us from Asian Development Bank, land subsidence and urban area and city subsidence has so far not really been a primary driver for investment projects. It has been a secondary consideration. It has been implied through several of our works. Of course, we do all kinds of work. I summarize a little bit, but it has not been a primary driver. So I'm very grateful that you have this initiative, and I'm also very grateful that you share the science and all the approaches and also the data approaches, which seems to be really an option. Sorry, I think I have the translation option into Chinese, but we have a few Chinese colleagues here. You can see what I say, it will also appear in Chinese at the top of the slide. That is a function in PowerPoint. Anyway, so we have of course, the challenge of sea level rise, simultaneously land subsidence, so water go up, land goes down, and of course, all the cases that you have already shared are most relevant, of course, for our countries that we serve here in Asia Pacific. So, what is the role of multilateral development bank in all of that? I think. Again, we're supporting policy, we're supporting finance, we're supporting knowledge sharing between countries. Is that from my side? Okay, no. So, and of course, I think people look at us, of course, for probably mostly for finance and financing projects. So we're financing project programs, and that includes projects where you are in Thailand and Bangkok. We have a water diversion project. A stormwater diversion project ongoing, is supported both by ADB and World Bank, and of course we also have supported some knowledge reports. This is just sort of one example where we have worked together with other MDBs on creating livable cities. This, I think, was published in 2017, and we also cover the aspect of land subsidence in that report. Of course, another report has been more specific on urban climate change resilience, also maybe covering more the aspect of flooding and sea level rise, but also the case of Semarang, where land subsidence has been observed as a case. In fact, we prepared that quite recently in 2022. We're supporting sponge cities both in China, but also in some other countries, and we are reflecting on the lessons that we've learned there. and propose sort of a system where you're doing actually work on part of that. So develop policies, regulate and enforce the policies, fund and implement programs, and then implement projects, finance and implement projects, and learn and revise, and sort of use this as a cycle where we learn and improve projects and programs, and then link upstream multi-level integration from upstream global to local, and back up the learnings. Just very recently, we have supported Thailand, where you are with a program for a sponge city development, a national program, and this was commissioned by NESDC, so the National Economic and Social Development Council. And we have hired a number of consultants and worked on principles and technical guidelines is actually published already online. You can also see that. And we have supported them to use this as part of their input to the 14th five-year plan, the urbanization strategy. And we've also supported 5 pilot cities. You can see them here in red points: Khon Kaen, Phitsanulok, Ayutthaya, Bangkok, and Surat Thani, with some framework sponge city strategies. And that will also lead to investment projects downstream, prepared by my colleague now. We've done technical assistance as an example. This is a case of Baguio City in the Philippines that has multiple challenges, multiple risks that this city is facing. It's in the mountain, not by the coast. And we have done a multi-dimensional risk assessment through this technical assistance project. And here I just point out the two risks overlaid of sinkholes exposure and also landslide exposure that's related to this topic of today here. And then, of course, we are doing a lot of projects, and Bangladesh, as we already heard several times today, is highly affected. And for this, I want to turn over quickly to my dear colleague, Momoko, to present 3 projects very quickly, and then I come back. Momoko?
Yeah, thank you so much, Stefan. Yeah, so
if I might, Momoko, please be very quick. We're running out of time, and we need to give some general discussion time. So just really, if you could just focus on one of the 3.
One.
Please.
One on this, currently on the screen. Sorry, the previous slide, please. So in Dhaka, the land subsidence risk is said to be the highest in Bangladesh because of the over extraction of groundwater. So our project here is to switch from groundwater resource to surface water resource by establishing a new big intake pipe in a river which is 30 kilometers away from Dhaka. The primary purpose of the project is drinking water supply augmentation, as Stefan said, but as a secondary purpose, this project is to contribute to stopping the groundwater depletion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Momoko. So we have 3, but we actually have a lot of projects in Bangladesh, and they all imply, of course, they address the issue of sea level rise and flood risk, which of course this country is very prone to. We have a few projects in China I share. So these are all more or less supporting flood risk management and sponge city green infrastructure. Some of them also support the risk of what Bangladesh is also supporting the project in Bangladesh. Providing access to alternative sources to drinking water, not pumping groundwater to also stop the land subsidence. So this project is just approved 2 weeks ago. This is a project, you can see the small map on the right-hand side in Fujian province. This is supporting the East Asia Australasian Migratory Bird Flyway. And I think this is on the coast, and we're supporting 2 cities, Fuzhou and Yunxiao, with wetland and mangrove rehabilitation, restoration, expansion. So this is really addressing the sea level rise risk and mitigating that by sort of having all these plants in these areas able to buffer all the waves and the storm surges, but also can attract and retain sediments. Basically, the sand can build up as the sea level rises, and sort of this is one of the key principles that I think we can apply for coastal cities, especially. Next slide, please. I think this was already the last one. Yeah, so I think I'm curious and very, very, very happy about this initiative that you're leading there in UN ESCAP and UN Habitat. And I think we should continue and see what the multilateral development banks globally can do and what we can do here in the region with you, and be most happy to support. So I think the role of finance, and I think the role of these platforms that were presented earlier, like these data platforms, maybe that's something where we can also collaborate in, and maybe we can do technical assistance together, and then maybe this can lead to projects that we can also help prepare together. So I would be very open and look forward to something like that. Thank you.
Exactly what we would like to hear from ADB and others as well, how you can collaborate through the community of practice and how it can be a platform for bringing together different entities, countries, cities, etc. So with apologies, we are close to the end of time, but we will extend the meeting for those who would like to continue. And we'd like to hear from some of the other organizations and those who have been listening over the course of the last 90 minutes or so, to hear what you are maybe doing in your own work and what you might offer to the community of practice. So please just raise your hand or open up your camera and ask to be heard. I know there are a number of different organizations and countries on the line. If anybody would like to share it. Don't be shy.
There's one hand.
Here's one hand. Giles? Please,
Yes.
just unmute yourself. Please come on in.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all for this interesting meeting that we have had so far. And I think many wise things have been said on technology and monitoring and data acquisition. So I'm not going to repeat that, but I'd just like to mention that we have a lot of experience. I work at Deltares Research Institute and Utrecht University in the Netherlands. And we have a lot of experience in working in different countries and areas around the world with land subsidence monitoring and data gathering. And we're happy to share that to the community of practice. For you to use, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel in that sense, and can work from that onwards. And I think I would like to highlight the UNESCO LESI presentation by Pietro Teatini that has really a lot of work already done. And one concept that I'd like to specifically highlight here is the concept of the maximal allowable amount of land subsidence. And this is something that has been an eye-opener for me. And I've learned from the city of Shanghai in China that they allow for, they established a cap, a maximum for the amount of land subsidence that they think is allowable and manageable. And by having this cap, you can also do monitoring in your city that's looking which areas you're crossing the threshold and which areas you're still below the threshold. And you can have a much more, let's say, spatial different management system for land subsidence, and by looking at this maximum allowable amount of land subsidence, it's also important that you engage the stakeholders in the system. So, and I think there has been discussion on the governance, and I think the discussion about a maximum allowable amount of land subsidence can also help in identifying the governance around this problem. So that's something that I'd like to contribute to the discussion. Thank you very much.
Happy to have you join the community of practice and share some of your work as well. We do have a hand raised from the Embassy of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Over to you.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues, online participants. We understand from the presentation that 4 sessions is going to be held during next month. And the next session would be on February. Before I proceed, I have to mention that we really appreciate the the government of China support to implement the Thinking City projects in our region. My question to Secretariat is that is there any provisions to hold the future discussions in a hybrid mode? I mean, the future discussions would be exclusively held in virtual mode, or is there any provision to hold the future discussions in hybrid mode? Thank you again. Thank you, Secretariat, and thank you, China.
Mehdi, thank you very much for the question. Yes, it is our intention to have some sessions in hybrid mode. The next one is, as you pointed out rightfully, in February, in conjunction with the Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development. So that would be an opportunity to have some people in person, and we would make provision for those who want to join remotely as well. So yes, we're trying to align the subsequent meetings with potential in-person events. And thank you for your comments and support. I see another hand from Iran that may be in capital.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the valuable issues has been raised by different presenter of the session. Thank you especially for the efforts done by United Nations Economic in the Pacific, ESCAP, as well as APDIM, and also over any other, let's say, colleagues of us in this very important issue, land subsidence. As a matter of fact, because of the importance of the issue here in the capital, with the assistance of our colleagues in the embassy and our permanent representative to the ESCAP, we are shaping the technical and professional bodies in order to focus on the very important issue that is land subsidence. As a matter of fact, we should have some sort of customizing efforts done within our organization and also in the plan and budget organization, also other relevant, let's say, line ministries, in order to focus on the outcomes and also to shape the better, let's say, activities and, let's say, measures to be taken for the future time. And the agricultural sector, as the most important utilizer, I mean, also consumption of the water in this sector happening in our country, should be highly focused, and also the tools and mechanisms for monitoring system, as well as the strategy and fruitful experience of the countries of the regions are of high importance for our mutual cooperation. Again, I'm going to thanks, and we are voicing our readiness in order to collaborate in the coming and future practices and cooperation.
Received, and we appreciate your engagement both in the community practice and in the project. We have a hand raised from Mr. Luke Bateson from the British Geological Survey. Luke, over to you.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I just wanted to introduce the British Geological Survey and the work that we've been doing in this area over the last, well, 25 years. So we have a team of people working in the shallow geohazards and earth observation area, where we're investigating automatic methods for detection and monitoring of INSAR data, so land subsidence, and recognizing that automatically within INSAR data. And we're doing this in a range of places across the world. So with partners in Indonesia and Malaysia, especially through our International Geoscience Research and Development Programme, which has just been extended for a year's filling gap, and we're hopefully for another 5 years worth of funding, where we're looking at growing cities and the impacts of the growth of the city on the environment. So whether that's subsidence, whether that's the impact of other hazards such as landslides, tectonics on the city.
Pleasure to have you join, and we look forward to further collaboration as you've indicated. Any other interventions? I know we have colleagues from other UN agencies as well. UNEP, anyone? Okay, she's traveling, unfortunately not able to speak, but I know we have someone from the cities unit at UNEP in Paris as well. Sri from Bangkok office, UN Habitat, over to you.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, colleagues from all the countries and also the partner organizations. I'm very glad to see what I'm witnessing today with so much of work by the policymakers and the practitioners and the academia. It's so important. As you know, when we initially discussed a couple of years back, actually precisely 2 years back, we were wondering why not many cities and ministries are not really talking about it. As colleague from ADB has mentioned, land subsidence is not really much talked about and not really addressed by the governments or by partners as a primary issue. So even in the climate lens, it is not really being highlighted. I think the purpose of COP is precisely that, to bring that awareness and with showing the practices and also the facts. All your experience and all your knowledge is going to be quite pivotal, because we can prevent a lot of wastage of resources, human resources and financial resources, by actually sharing what is being done already, so that countries and cities that really deserve some assistance, can start from something, not from the scratch. That's very important. I think from the UN side, I think our main point is how do we actually prevent? It's a prevention as our 3-point agenda, because there are no resources, and anything that you lose from as an effect of land subsidence is irreversible. Anything that you wanted to slow it down is a costly affair that many of the cities and governments do not have that luxury. So what can be done to prevent, and what would it take, and what is actually required for such prevention? I think this community of practice is going to partially substantiate, towards such prevention. So the more partners come with their research and findings and analysis and of course resources, the better it would be. So we will be very glad to have the word of mouth from some of you that have attended to share with your professional networks, and that obviously we all would welcome anyone that is going to join the community of practice. Thank you very much, Kurt, and all the team that has put forward so much of hard work behind this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sri. Very well said. I don't see any further hands raised, so we'll bring the meeting to a close just with a few closing comments from our side. As Sri mentioned, the community of practice is going to be a very valuable platform to help address the problem in the region, raise the awareness. We hope that through the community of practice that we will identify various manners in which you may engage, whether it be providing case studies, some research, city experience, peer-to-peer exchange, even blog posts. And before the next meeting, we will outline and identify some of those opportunities for the community practice so that we can build a real structure around it. I think we've heard today a lot about risks, the number of people that are at risk, the value of physical and cultural assets, the potential impact to economies. And I think you saw in the global trends and in the regional trends the scale of the problem. And that really requires collaboration. It's beyond any single project that we've seen and beyond any single city, national government, or UN entity or development partner. So this community of practice really is a regional technical asset that could be extremely valuable, both in terms of raising the visibility of this challenge, identifying solutions, and sharing the knowledge that is necessary to, as Sri rightfully pointed out, prevent future problems. It's not just the cities that are currently facing land subsidence, is how do we avoid also the emerging cities from falling into the same patterns of over-extraction of groundwater. So thank you all for joining today. I do see one hand raised. Is it from Islamic Republic of Iran? At the embassy. Is that right? Mehdi, is that over to you?
Thank you, Ker. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Ker. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I know that we are out of time, really, and just one missing point. We are going to have three next discussions. But before, it is really appreciated if Secretariat kindly provide the key summaries and findings of each sessions held to distribute it after the session, after discussion being held in each session. So the key findings and the key summaries of discussions is going to be distributed for members. Is highly appreciated. Thank you, Ken. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will provide a summary, and what you see on the screen now are three QR codes to the launch of the Sinking Cities Community Practice. There is the project QR code and a more general website on addressing land subsidence. The summary will be provided in the Community of Practice webpage once it is completed, and we will also publicize the next meeting along with, again, as I mentioned, structure and opportunities and the framework for continuing. Again, while the community of practice is being established through a particular project, we do think it has much more value beyond any single project and can really be a resource for the region. So we will also follow up with an email and let you know when the summary is available on the website. So thank you for pointing that out. With that, thank you all for your indulgence, your patience, and staying with us a bit over time. It's very unusual for as many people who stayed to stay beyond the scheduled time for a meeting. So I think that indicates that there's a great degree of interest in this topic, and is very promising for future engagement. Thank you all again. We appreciate your time, your commitment, and we look forward to working with you over the course of the next several meetings. Have a good afternoon or morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So much.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.